A big welcome back to the art studio, dear friends. I'm Taz from Taslima Maya Art. Thank you for being here. Today on a Froggy Friday collaboration, I'm super excited to show you my stunning multi-technique resin froggy. I really hope you like it. Froggy Friday is a collaboration hosted by the lovely Lisa from Girl in the Garage and Karen from the Dragon's Cave. It's also supported by Nerd Goblin Art, Gert Creates and Base Resonator, so please check out the playlist down below. To create my third ever resin frog, in this video I'll be using multiple techniques using Orbeez or water beads, microglass pixie beads, iridescent pearls, and finally Let's Resin's stunning chameleon flakes. And oh my goodness, this froggy turned out utterly amazing. A big shout out of gratitude to my subscribers, viewers and Patreon members. To save 10% off Let's Resin products, use my code TAZRESIN10, and for 15% off Resiners, use code Taslima Maya Art. And you can find my referral links down in the description box. Please use all health and safety precautions when handling resin. Welcome back to Froggy Friday, and I hope you're all doing well, my friends. I'll start with a screenshot of all the tools and materials used in this project, and you can freeze frame that for reference. And first of all, we are going to be using something that I've never used with resin before, and these are Orbeez or water beads. Now, you may have seen some of these in other people's projects, and it's always fascinating to see what they do with them, but today I'm going to be using these in my frog mold. So let's first of all soak them in some water and leave them overnight so that they grow into the size that I need them to be. And this packet has multiple sizes, so small, medium to large. And you can pick these up in any kids craft store or toy store locally. They're generally easy to find. I am super grateful to be on this Froggy Friday collaboration. I'm making my third and most stunning resin frog using the Let's Resin frog mold. They're amazing chameleon pigments and chrome pigments and an exciting blend of UV resin techniques. And as you can see, overnight they've completely soaked up all that water that was in the cup, and they are pretty easy to handle. They kind of bounce as well. You see that in a second when I drop them into this tray. There they go, and I'm just drying them on a little bit of a kitchen towel just so they're not wet in any way. They didn't feel wet, but just to be on the safe side because resin and water do not mix. And this is the mold I'm using. This mold is actually from Let's Resin, and I've got these lovely little eyes that I bought. They're dragon eyes from Amazon, I think I bought these, but you can get them from Temu as well. And I've chosen my eyes, they're the colours. And I'll be using my Let's Resin UV resin kit for bonding that they sent me. And this comes with a little UV torch as well, which is fantastic. And I'll use this to secure the eyes into the silicone mould. Now this bit is probably the trickiest bit. It's a little fiddly, especially if you've got a smaller frog mould. You can get very large ones, as I understand it. But I'm just using my tweezers after popping a little bit of that resin into the socket there. And I'm using the tweezers just to position it right. And then I'm going to get my torch and shine it on both sides just to make sure that it cures fully and keeps those in place. With step 1 done, it's time to crack on with step 2. So for step 2, all I did was took some beautiful half pearls, and these are kind of purpley bluish kind of iridescent pearls, and I got these from Temu, and there's all different sizes in their bag, so I'm finding the right sizes for each of the toes on a silicone mold, and they pop right in and sit in place really well. I didn't need to really add any UV resin to keep them in place. Another quick and easy for beginners step, so that was easy. So with my eyes and toes in and my Orbeez on the ready, I'm ready now to start mixing up my Let's Resin epoxy resin. Here it is, it's a 2-part resin. Lovely resin from Resiners, and I put part A and part B into a cup and pop it into my Resiners dual head mixing device. And there it is, fully mixed after 3 minutes. And we're good to go. To begin, I add a little bit of UV resin into my mould just to see where the depth is, and I want to make sure that there's a lot of room between where the Orbeez are going to sit and where the top of the frog mould is. So I pour that in and I pop it under my UV light, and this is my Let's Resin double-sided lamp that I'll pop it under. Now you may be wondering, why didn't I just put the epoxy resin in? Well, I can only put a small amount of epoxy resin in so that it doesn't cover the Orbeez, so I needed that extra depth and that's why I used UV resin. I hope that makes sense. So 1 shot of isopropyl alcohol, and that'll disperse the bubbles, and under the UV lamp for 3 minutes. Whilst my UV resin layer cured, my Resiners airless vacuum chamber got rid of any bubbles in my epoxy resin, and I sprayed any surface bubbles with isopropyl. So for step 3, I begin by placing my Orbeez into the silicone mould on top of that UV resin, and they sit really well. They're a mixed variety in sizes, so I put the smaller ones up top into the nose area, and you can see what they look like there, so I just drop them in. Now, some people do put the resin in first and then the beads, but I'm doing it the other way around. I think it'd be better to control and make sure too much resin isn't in there and it doesn't overflow. What I don't want is for the resin to be higher than the Orbeez. Otherwise, what will happen is I won't be able to get the Orbeez out once the resin is cured. This way, I feel like I can control it better. I can make sure I pour the resin into the crevices between the Orbeez and don't cover them, and I can keep an eye on the level of resin that's in there. And since resin is self-leveling, it's easy to really spot. So here it is, and I think it's ready to be put into my cure machine from Resiners and let it cure up and hopefully get those Orbeez out afterwards when we're done. Now this cure machine is a godsend, but I've actually been sent the latest generation 3 curing machine by Resiners, so I'll be reviewing that soon. And the upgraded one is for both epoxy resin and UV resin. The cure machine cured it up in under 2 hours, so here it is. This is what it's looking like, and the epoxy is fully cured, and it was a very thin layer. However, I'm gonna try and get these Orbeez out, and water beads can be quite difficult to get out. It really does depend. So you can get it out straight away afterwards or leave it for a few days so that they shrink in place and they harden up again, and then it'll pop out much easier. But time is of the essence, so I'm going to try and ease them out. Now, some of them came out whole, whereas others needed a bit more coaxing out and broke into parts, but it was easy enough just to scrape them out for the ones that did stick a little. I'm going to try and get them out and show you what I mean. Here you are, half of it has come out, the other half is still in there, so I'm just going to dig them out with my nails, and it's pretty easy to do, little fiddly but easy enough. And here I am scraping the residual bits out, and it's quite difficult to see with a clear Orbeez, isn't it? But they came out in like 5 pieces, that one, and I think that one was the most difficult. Some of the others came out in 2 pieces, or some actually popped out completely on their own. So this technique is referred to as the Orbeez dip or void technique in resin. Orbeez are used as temporary placeholders, then removed before the resin fully cures to leave behind textured dimples, dips or void. This creates a unique bubble-like texture in the cured piece. Obviously, I waited until my resin was fully cured before I attempted to get the Orbeez out. Probably made this a little bit more trickier, but the usual way is to remove the Orbeez before the resin fully cures. But to do it that way, timing is critical. You have to remove the Orbeez at the right time. If you remove them too early, the resin can collapse or fill back in, and if, like me, you choose to remove them when the epoxy resin is fully cured, you risk them getting stuck or leaving residue. However, I found this the best way for me, so you have to do what's right for you. I'm looking forward to getting all of these Orbeez out so I can see those round craters, dips or bubble-like voids in my piece, and I think that'll give it a lovely organic tactile surface to work with for the next step. Another learning point I got from this technique, or trying this technique for the first time, is that I should really avoid fully hydrating the Orbeez. So medium hydration might have helped them keep their shape without overexpanding and then falling apart later when it came to evacuation. Now this Froggy is definitely my favourite so far. It turns out amazing, and I think part of the reason is because I used so many different textures and techniques. I used soaked Orbeez to create little craters, then filled them with pearls, tiny little micro beads or glass beads, as well as chameleon powders and UV resin, and I finished it all with a dramatic black mica epoxy base. I also used some of my favourite tools and pigments from Let's Resin and Resiners, and the links and discount codes in the description below. So let's hop along to the next step. For step 5, I put 2 drops of UV resin into the round craters and also some into a little silicone cup where I will place some iridescent pearls. These are gold and blue pearls, and I will just make sure they're soaked so to avoid any bubbles being created, and then I will use my tweezers to drop them into one of those voids. Now I put multiple different pearls, all different sizes, into those little craters, and then I top it up with some more UV resin so it's leveled out with the rest of the epoxy resin surface there. Now this idea of having these gorgeous little pockets of pearls and pixie beads or glass beads, the micro ones, came to me after I was thinking about frog spawn and how much they would look like frog spawn. So to recap, into these craters I had a mix of materials. Some are filled with pearls, others with chrome powder or chameleon flakes, and some with a mix of green pixie or glass microbeads suspended in UV resin. I will top all of them up with a bit more resin and then cure each layer using my Let's Resin double-sided UV lamp. And now I'll play a bit of music for you, so sit back and enjoy watching till the next step.
They call me sassy when I'm strolling down the street. They call me classy when I'm serving just the best. I can be deadly when I find somebody lovely. And now I'm ready like a kitty in a dress. Don't call me mean, I just want someone to love me. Someone to lick my wounds and kiss my aching body. My desperation knows no termination, baby. Now would you love me if I was somebody else? Wish I had a tail, wish I had a tail. Cause if I did then I would swing it, be swinging it in front of you. If I had a tail, if I had a tail, yeah, if I did then I would swing it, be swinging it in front of you. I would swing it to the beat, I'd be a mover, and everyone be jealous of my touch. I just wanna be the one that makes you drool. No, I'd be a super duper cool, not a smooth a little puss. Wish I had a tail, wish I had a tail. Cause if I did then I would swing it, be swinging it in front of you. If I had a tail, if I had a tail, yeah, if I did then I would swing it, be swinging it in front of you. Now don't call me mean, I just want someone to love me, someone to lick my wounds and kiss my aching body. My desperation knows no termination, baby. Now would you love me if I was somebody else? Wish I had a tail, wish I had a tail. Cause if I did then I would swing it, be swinging it in front of you. If I had a tail, if I had a tail, yeah, if I did then I would swing it, be swinging it in front of you. Wish I had a tail, wish I had a tail. Cause if I did then I would swing it, be swinging it in front of you. If I had a tail, if I had a tail, yeah, if I did then I would swing it, be swinging it in front of you.
And here you can see me mixing up clusters of my greeny yellow glass microbeads with a dash of UV resin and spooning it into the frog's arms and legs. Super fun and textural frog spawn. And now for Froggy Friday and frogs around the world, here are some fun and weirdly fascinating facts about frogs. Did you know that frogs drink through their skin? Frogs don't drink water with their mouths, they absorb it through a patch of skin called the drinking patch on their bellies and their thighs. Some frogs can freeze and come back to life. The wood frog survives being frozen solid during the winter. Its heart actually stops and it doesn't breathe, and yet it thaws out and hops away in the spring. Fact number 3, they can jump over 20 times their body length. Some frogs are such powerful jumpers that they can leap the human equivalent of a 30-story building. And that's not all. There's a frog that's smaller than a dime. The Pidophorin amuensis, discovered in Papua New Guinea, is the smallest known vertebrate, just 7.7 millimeters long. And not all frogs actually ribbit. Different species make different sounds. Some will whistle, grunt, chirp or bark. The famous ribbit sound is mostly made by the Pacific tree frog and become iconic because it was used in Hollywood movies. Another fascinating fact about frogs is that some frogs are deadly. The golden poison dart frog has enough toxin to kill 10 adult humans. Indigenous tribes use their poison on the tips of blow darts, hence the name. Now I finished filling in each of the crevices with my microbeads, so I've got my Let's Resin green and lime chameleon flakes, and I'm brushing that onto the remaining number of craters that I've got there, or dips that I've got there in my resin, and it's a beautiful colour mixed together. I really love it, and it's easy enough to get it into those little crevices and just to use a paintbrush to apply it. I do take care not to get it anywhere else, and I just wipe off any excess afterwards. Now I'm really beginning to have some fun with this Froggy, with all the different techniques combined and the different additions to each of the layers. So I'm going to now cover those craters with a bit of UV resin just to protect that chameleon flake and keep it intact, and I fill it right up to level it out with the rest of the resin in my frog. And I'll pop it under my UV resin lamp from Let's Resin just to cure that up for about 3 minutes. Now on to some more fun and alarming facts. Did you know that some frogs have teeth? Sometimes. Some frogs, like the African bullfrog, have tiny teeth on the upper jaws. Others have none, and one bizarre species actually has fangs. And here are some of the amazing products Let's Resin have sent me: the chrome powders, the chameleon flakes, and the chameleon powders as well. You can get these in a kit with the brush included, and they're gorgeous. The colours are just out of this world. Froggy fact number 8 is that male frogs sing to impress. Male frogs croak loudly to attract females. The louder or more frequent the call, the more appealing they are to potential mates. And they also shed their skin and eat it. Many frogs regularly shed their skin, then eat it to recycle nutrients. Oh, yucky. And I bet you didn't know that frogs have actually been to space. Yes, NASA has launched frogs into space to study how zero gravity affects their balance and movement. I really didn't know that one. Did you? Let me know in the comments below. Now I'm extending the colour in the toes a little bit by mixing my UV resin with some blue chameleon powder and blue chameleon flakes, and just extending those a little by painting it on with a paintbrush. And I'm also going to add a little bit of green because I want the body of the frog to tie in well with the arms and the legs as well, so that it has a unified design overall. And I love chameleon flakes and powders because they always give you that beautiful magical shift effect in colours. I can't wait to see how those iridescent blue and purple half pearls will look as well, and whether they'll make this Froggy pop. Once this layer has cured, I can't wait to finally mix my epoxy resin with black mica powder and pour it into the mould as my final layer. This will become its base and give it contrast and depth with any luck.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city light. Darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this so pretty with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand. Hey darling, I love it when it's me and you on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for two.
Okay friends, so it's time to demold this Froggy. Okay, I did put a slight layer of UV resin on top, and I can't wait to see what it looks like on the other side, and I hope that the black didn't leak, but I have a feeling it might have. Anyway, let's demold it now, shall we? How excited are you? I know I'm excited. Get his toes off first of all. Oh, that was quite easy. Oh, okay, it's a little bit sticky. I'll just stick it under the UV light a minute. Okay, let's just carry on demolding him. Not as easy as it looks. I'm trying not to break any fingers or toes. Oh, yes! So that's my mold. Let's put that aside. And this is the Froggy. Ow, it's a bit sticky. So, are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? I can see a little bit of his leg there. Ta-da! Wow, look at that! Look at that! You can see everything. You can see this, which is the chameleon flakes and the chrome powder mixed, and you can see these ones, which are the pearls. Look at that! Look at it in his leg. And you can see the third option which I used, which was a little pixie beads there. I don't know if you can focus on that bit. I'm trying to focus, it's very hard to focus. And you can see, if you look at his nose there, underneath his nose, you can see the change of colour there. See how it changes? And his eyes. And if you look at his hands now, those pearls look great, don't they? The blue feet go into green. And then the black at the back there. Oh my goodness, he's amazing. I think that's really, really cool. Look at that, reflections there. And a change of colour. Oh, definitely the best frog I've done, I think. What do you think? I think black was the best bet, really. I couldn't decide between black and silver and navy or violet. But I'm going to have to snap some of these off. I'll clip them off later in case I snap the ends. But yeah, I'm super impressed with this Froggy. Look at his nose. Anyway, I'll take him outside to show you in daylight what he looks like rather than in the studio lights. And there's a little hole there. I'll have to fill that in. If you look at that, it's a tiny hole here. There must have been a big air bubble and a bubble here. But other than that, he's pretty flawless. I really, really love him. There's a slight bubble there. But yeah, that's several different techniques in one frog. And I think he's amazing. I really do. Hope you like him. Fabulous. So this is the final result, and I can tell you that it's definitely my favourite frog so far out of the 3 that I've made for Froggy Friday. I love how the textures, the colour shifts and the bead clusters turned out. It feels magical and a little weird, the frog spawn look, but also totally breathtaking. If you like this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment and hit subscribe. And if you want to try these products, I've got affiliate discounts below. 20% off with Resiners if you use the code Taslima Maya Art, and 10% off Let's Resin with the code TazResin10. And you've also got the affiliate links down in my description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Do watch till the end, as it really helps my channel. Bye for now.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. I don't think that I'm being that selfish right now. You said yourself you'd be breaking every vow. I can understand you're tired of this town, and I'm not saying that we have to settle down now. Just remember this.
And don't forget to join us every Saturday for the Creative Art Collective, which is a collaboration I host for artists around the world, and guest artists are always welcome.